Okay, so fireside session. Oh, what is this now? Two, three? I've lost count. I don't know where I am. Um, Fireside session, healing through time. Um, this is the first one I'm doing without slides, so you're just going to be staring at my face. I I'm finding it a lot to put in all of these ideas and concepts that are spiritual and emotional and non-tangible into slides that aren't just words. So I figured maybe it would just be better if I didn't have slides. And then if I do need them, I'll put up a list or something. However, um, this fireside session is to do with healing through time, or the opportunities that we get for healing through time. And when I mean that, I mean into the past, into the future. We'll we'll get there. We'll get there. The Western perception of time is typically very linear and sequential: past, present, future, beginning, middle, end. It's like a straight line. And we see this play out in our calendar systems, in our daily schedules, in our deadlines, and also our mindsets. It's totally and utterly ingrained in how we behave, the experiences we have, how we converse and interact with people, with the world. It's all based on this very linear time concept. But it can prove to be difficult. It comes with issues. Mentally, we're always progressing towards improvement or decline, which, in itself is an issue. If you're not going up, you're going down. The Western idea of time as well, the way we talk about it, we talk about it as a resource. We're either spending time or we're saving time. And it's a very linear experience of events that are irreversible, that you cannot revisit. Once it's done, it's done. And for our minds, it's almost like our minds know that sometimes when things are done, they're not done. There's still things going on in our head. We still have to process them. We still have to fully embody an idea. It doesn't just come because an experience or an interaction has ended. And the other thing that it brings with it is this idea of a final judgment. Death being the big one and only sort of ending. Once death comes, that's it. And we're ingrained in this step-by-step approach. We can only ever move forward. However, when we look at it, how realistic is it? Because the world around us, the animals, the moon, how we move around, the sun, literally everything, our own bodies, everything is cyclical. We don't have one experience of anything. We have a looping experience of everything all the time, which comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes. We are in a constant cycle. So it doesn't really reflect life, this linear time concept. So although it sounds, as soon as you mention time concepts to people, they sort of look at you like you're going to start Doctor Whoing on them. But in the larger scheme of things, the idea of time being linear is quite a new idea that came with the sky gods, as they're called, the sky gods, when you start getting into theology. Before the sky gods came, before there was a civilization of having to push people into education and then into work to make, all these things happen for the masses, the concept of time being linear was not a thing. And it's still not a thing all around the world. So we're going to look today at non-linear time, which is the idea of time being cyclical or circular, or like a whirlpool, as other people have explained it, of the past and the present and the future all sort of interacting together. It's not a progression of experience, but a fluid experience where previous experiences, obviously, when you're talking about how your own mental constructs are built, they are built upon previous experiences you have had, and also the goals and where you want to go forward and what you want to progress with. They all merge into who you are now. So we see it as everything being interconnected, which is like a supporting concept in this, is everything being interconnected like the web of existence. If you look up the web of existence, it's a common concept of everything being connected, everything being affected by everything else. And it's a repetitive, present-oriented. When I say present-oriented, when you start considering how everything affects everything, the only place for you to be is in the present. There's nothing looking forward, there's nothing looking back. Obviously, in the social structures we exist in, we have to look forward and we have to look back. But in our own minds, the best place to be is here, right now, fully focused. For some of us, it comes easier. For some of us, it doesn't come naturally at all. But we see this cycle, as I said, with the moon, with our own bodies, with the astral cycles, with seasonal shifts going through. We don't ever just experience one winter. Everything is a repeating pattern of life, death, and rebirth. So linear time is generally a modern concept. It's presented to the masses to encourage efficiency and productivity, to encourage mass behaviors, money making, manufacturing, pushing us through the social systems that are in place. But around the world, if we look at traditional calendars like the Mayan calendar, I don't know if you've ever seen the Mayan calendar, it's presented as a wheel within a wheel within a wheel, and they each represent agriculture, the seasons, and then astrological events, and they all rotate within this larger wheel. Similar to Hinduism and Buddhism as well, where the creation stories play on the universe undergoing an endless cycle of creation and destruction. When we look at goddesses like Kali, who is the mother of creation and destruction, we can see, it's all part of their creation stories. Their meditation practices as well over there allow practitioners to step out of sequential flow of thoughts and to enter a timeless state of consciousness. So in their meditation, or also in their dreams, which is a whole nother thing that we can look at in a different session, but in their dreams, they can jump through time to revisit experiences or visit new experiences that are coming up, to talk to other people in their own time space, to talk to people that have passed. It's a really common and accepted concept that the dream state or the meditation state is a space of non-linear time. So, but again, this plays into the hands of everything being interconnected, everything being attached like a web, and through the idea of karma. Again, one thing affects another, cause and effect, and rebirth. Everything dies and is born again, or nourishes the soil to provide new life. So the web that connects everything through time and through space, it's been presented to me by two different teachers in two different ways. One of them called it the shimmering, rippling landscape of appearances, where if you think about something or you close your eyes and you talk to someone, it's going to pull on the thread that's attached to that person. The other teacher, Yeye, from her Yoruba tradition, would explain it as a spiral, time as a spiral. And in their tradition, time, you have access to 7 generations before you and 7 generations after you, just because that's how big the spiral is. 7 is a massively auspicious number in Africa. It relates to the 7 planets, 7 gods. But the spiral of time allows you to connect and reach back 7 generations previous and 7 generations ahead. And so their work in their spiritual system is all about becoming ancestors of the future, of being a part of creating a world in which you want future generations to thrive in. So you're always thinking ahead to those who you are bringing into the world or the people that come after you, but you're also using the knowledge of your ancestors 7 generations before you. The other way, or the other places that we can see this web of oneness or this universal connection, which is the foundation for, well, it's in the scientific realms, it's in the metaphysical realms, and it ranges from really quite mundane theories to really, really abstract theories. Probably one of the more abstract theories, you know, if you're into it, is quantum theory, quantum physics, and the idea that brings with it the idea of quantum jumping, which talks about leaping into different realities to encounter various selves or experiences that we may have had or may have. I mean, they had that whole, it makes me think about the 80s/90s, what's it called? Quantum Leap. There was a TV series called Quantum Leap. I don't know if you know it, but that was quite a funny one. With that comes the idea of entanglement. It's another sort of modern quantum physics theory that suggests that 2 particles behave as one, no matter the distance that separates them, which is basically the fundamental premise of elements that are shared. It provides the foundation for the elements as we physically see them and the elements as we experience them in our bodies, how our bodies reflect, you know, especially as women with the tides and the moon, everything is reflected, everything affects everything else. We can also see this idea of oneness, of this web, in the Akashic records. If you're aware of them or not, it's a theory that all the experiences in the world are stored in the Akashic records. People see it differently, but you can access it through meditation. And, you know, some people see it as a library, some people see it as a bookshelf, some people experience it. There was a recent book by Matt Haig called The Midnight Library, which is basically a story of the Akashic records. And then Carl Jung was another psychologist who presented the concept of synchronicity, where coincidences are connected by meaning. So this is a huge one for people who practice spirituality. It's a huge one for the idea of divination, meaningful coincidences. Divination started with agriculture, with the weather, with looking at when and where the birds were migrating from and to. We can see small, you know, folkloric ideas of this when we talk about a black cat crossing your path, or a certain bird. In our family, if we see a robin, and with others as well, if you see a robin, it's an ancestor calling you. They want attention. They want you to check in. So as we work with this idea of everything being connected in this non-linear time concept, we start to connect coincidences, birds, animals, weather, how we feel, what happens and plays out in our days, with the events that are unfolding around us. We start making connections, and this is the premise of all divination. Scrolling, guys, scrolling through my masses of notes. Yeah, so another example of this is when priests would stand at the top of their church slash temple, depending on where they were in the world, at the same time every morning to see what movement the birds were going in. And if they were going one way, it was auspicious. And if they were going another way, it was really bad news. Whole wars, the movements of wars were based on a priest standing on top of a temple looking at the birds. This is a big deal. This has been around for millennia before anyone presented this concept. People have known about this and used this information forever. So when we adopt the concept of nonlinear time and everything being connected, it frees us from the chronological constraints and opens up possibilities for healing and growth and understanding. We can let go of the pressures of time passing as like a finite resource, which obviously can in its own way brings with it stress and anxiety, depending on what you're experiencing. We can let go of that, knowing that each cycle offers the opportunity for advancement and development. We get to iterate ourselves. If you're a creative, you will know that the creation process is not a process of A, B, C, D, E to Z. It's a process of A, F, G, X, something that's not even a letter, links to numbers, links to everything else. It looks like a spaghetti junction. The creation process is not a line. So in accepting the idea of nonlinear time, we start fostering a sense of continuity, because we get to know and understand that we get to do things again. Time is not a finite resource. We do get to reflect and repeat and iterate on our own experiences. So, and we also get to rest and retreat and then grow and bloom over and over and over again. It really does encourage sort of living fully in the present with the knowledge and healing power that we can pull from possible pasts and possible futures. There is hope after death. There is reincarnation. Death isn't the end, but like a welcomed transition towards rebirth. We have also opportunities to lean into and connect with past and future timelines for healing, which was the premise of this whole thing, healing through time. So healing practices and applications that adopt this nonlinear time concept and this interconnectedness are usually narrative therapies that involve individuals revisiting and reinterpreting life events as like a part of a broader cycle. And it helps them find meaning and continuity in their experiences. Buddhists' soul healing is based on this entire thing. Other healing modalities include Reiki, Qigong. They both work on the premise of healing energy through the web of everything being connected and channeling those energies through the fields of the body to restore balance and health. One of the biggest ones would be shamanic journeying and soul healing, where shamans enter altered states in order to travel and interact with the spirit world, whether that be ancestral, whether it be deities, whether it be elemental spirits. But the idea is that they travel and interact with the spirit world to heal individuals by restoring balance in whatever fields they may be lacking. Past life regression therapy and ancestral therapy, both the same sort of thing, but one for past life, one for ancestral, involves guiding individuals through past life or previous generational experiences to address and heal traumas and experiences and issues that have influenced their present state. And obviously it's based on the notion that everything is connected. All lifetimes are connected to the one that is currently being experienced. Side note, because I have had this come up before, where people haven't entirely understood the difference between past life and ancestral. Past life theories involves your spirit and reincarnation. So when you're looking at the idea in Buddhism, for example, the idea of reincarnation is that your soul is reincarnated into different timelines, to different families, to different experiences, and it dots all over the place. Whereas ancestral healing is related to your bloodline. So your soul picks up energies and experiences that happen to your parents and to their parents and to their parents. So past life and ancestral are two different concepts, but past life regression therapy and ancestral healing therapy are sort of the same idea, but just dealing with different timelines and different lineages. So one of the things that I'm going to be posting this Wednesday is a ancestral line visualization. Don't laugh at my voice. It's one of those things that you do, and then you look back and you listen to it back and you think, oh my God, I sound like a chipmunk. But even if you listen to it, get the idea of it, and then do it in your own time, fine. You don't have to, constantly listen to my voice waffling at you for a visualization. But it is a variation of one that was passed down to me by one of my teachers that allows us to send healing energy and draw upon healing energy from ancestors to soothe ancestral wounds and soul trauma. But it also allows us to push healing energy towards future generations. So it works both ways. It has the potential to heal scars, mend breaks in the family line, to establish spiritual safeguards for future generations that come after us. And even if you are, I've just realized that my earpods probably. There we go. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. My sound went funny. Yeah, it has the ability to heal generational trauma and foster generally a legacy of wellness and understanding. Now, if you are in the position where you are not having children, cannot have children, are unlikely to have children, it doesn't mean that you don't need to push energy forwards. It will mean, this can relate to friends, family, affinity ancestors. It doesn't, obviously, this version of the visualization that will be coming out is ancestral focused. But there's no reason why you can't adapt it to suit your own requirements. You could focus it on past life regression or future lives, future reincarnations. You could also use it to connect with particular people that you have an affinity with. So when we talk about affinity ancestors, we're talking about people, for instance, for Phoebe, violinists. You're reaching out to violinists that came before you. Or, I might reach out to people that, I don't know, do something that I do, have experienced something that I have experienced. People that you hold dear in that respect. You could use it for land ancestors, general guardians that you hold, but the idea is the same. Go through the visualization, see how you find it, see how you can, bend it to your will, as it were, and use it how you feel best. It's a very gentle visualization. You don't have to worry if you fall asleep. You don't have to worry about being left open to malevolent or, less than good energies. I'm sure everyone at this point has their ways of setting boundaries and setting protective shields, but you really don't need to worry about that with this. It's not that sort of, it's not spiritual work. It is just a visualization. And always, you know, when you are connecting with energies that came before you and energies that come after you, you are in control of it. And you can also state that you are only willing to connect with benevolent, supportive connections. If you start feeling like you're out of control or like something's not right, shut it down. You are in control. Anyway, that is my rant. That is my ramblings on nonlinear time. Does anyone want to add anything? Should we discuss this? If so, I will pause the recording. Those watching back, if you want to email me and I can add things to the post that will come out with this link on in the members area space, then feel free and I will add some ideas. Other than that, as I said, I will link the visualization that's coming out, and I hope that in some small way this theory has made you consider at least how ideas that we already know about, you know, I think we've all got it in ourselves to know this. This isn't new information, but we may not be or may not have critically sort of thought about how it doesn't really fit in with how we're living through this sort of through our social constructs, and where these ideas come from, what these knowings are based on. When I was exposed to the idea of nonlinear time, one of the things that it did for me is make me question the soul, which is what we're going to follow up with in a couple of weeks. We've got soul concepts coming up, which is sort of going to be a follow-on from this. And we're going to look at various concepts of the soul around the world and how they relate to nonlinear time and our current experience. So there will be a follow-on from this. I'm going to stop the recording so we can share and talk. And if you're watching this back, feel free to email me.